What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a video that some of you might find interesting and some of you won't find interesting at all. In fact, a lot of you are going to say that this video provides no useful information, and that, I don't know, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Doing this video, actually, this is the second time I've done this video, but I've talked a lot about on my channel of my preference for G10 over FRN. And I had an experience one time where within a few weeks, actually, of each of these experiences, I removed the FRN scale or plastic scale from a Benchmade Griptilian, and I ended up having to break it off of the scale in order to remove it and it wasn't the fault of the FRN scale, it was the fault of the teeny tiny screw that I don't like on Benchmade Griptilians. What's in front of you, by the way, is the Spyderco Manix 2, and we'll get to that here in a sec. But this was that scale, or it was one of them. I actually ended up having to break both scales off of each side of the knife because of this screw right in the middle. Now, that experience with that scale made me think, wow, I really don't like plastic. Now, in the defense of the scale, it actually took quite a bit of effort to break the FRN. It was pretty strong. I think what I really didn't like about it was how cheap it felt, and then the moment that it broke, I was like, yeah, this is not, I don't like this. I knew in my head that that wasn't really fair, because the durability of the scale should be associated with, you know, it being attached to the knife. I mean, it like being ripped off of the knife. I mean, what task would I be doing with the knife where that would come into play? Nothing. So that's not the fault of FRN. It's certainly not a slight against Benchmade. But that's where my dislike of FRN started. Now, a few weeks later, I removed the G10 scale from my Spyderco Paramilitary 2, totally successfully. Everything came out. And I added Flytanium scales. This was before I started the channel. I found myself curious. I was like, I wonder how strong this G10 scale is. So I kind of flexed on it a little bit, and I kept pushing, and this little white part at the crest of where I was, pulling it apart or trying to bend it or break it started to form, and I thought, that's different than the experience that I had with the plastic scales. They just snapped, on both sides. Now, I was holding the knife and prying against, so I suppose that pressure point was different. But what I ended up doing was pushing pretty hard, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to break this. But I had also heard, G10's really strong. It's really heat resistant. So, and you guys have heard me refer to this on the channel before. Actually, I took a lighter. I was outside. I took a lighter, and I tried to melt it. And it took forever to melt before it would finally, bow. It didn't really catch on fire. But that was where my opinion of G10 formed. That it was, that G10 is incredibly strong. And it is. Both G10 and FRN are plenty strong for their purposes. Truthfully, I think my dislike for FRN comes in the fact that I don't like how it feels or sounds. It sounds like a cheap, plasticky, clacky toy. A lot of people like it because it's durable enough for what you would ask of a folding knife, and it generally makes some knives that have really good steels less expensive, and it also decreases the weight. For example, Spyderco's lightweight line is loved by many. This is not a lightweight Spyderco. This is the Spyderco Manix 2 with copper scales on it that weighs 8 ounces now. Now, I'm never going to get rid of this knife. I'm never going to sell it. So the G10 scales that came on it originally are useless to me. I have one of these scales right here because off camera earlier today, I was like, I want to try that again. I wonder if I can recreate that on camera. So I had two scales. So I decided to do the first one off camera, and guess what happened when I kept pushing on it? It broke. So this goes against what I was saying about G10 is that I was saying that it would just continue to unweave itself and it wouldn't snap. It would just sort of bend out. Now, this eventually did break. So that's what happened. So the G10 broke under an enormous amount of force, and so did the FRN. Now, I don't have another FRN scale that I can demonstrate this, and this is where, the FRN, of course, I just dropped that other scale on the floor. The fans on the side of, or fans of FRN are going to be like, oh, you should have had a full FRN scale if you were going to demonstrate this. Yeah, you're probably right, but I don't. That's the only one I have is already broken one from Benchmade. So I'm sorry, that makes both FRN and Benchmade look bad, but I need to stress this. This is nothing against Benchmade, and it's nothing against FRN. I want to be honest and candid with you guys about my experiences. I don't want to just make stuff up that's in favor of what I said. If I'm wrong about something, then I feel an obligation to talk about it. So basically what I'm getting at here is I think G10 and FRN are a lot closer in strength than I originally thought. I'm still in favor of G10 because of how it feels, and it feels a little bit more solid, and it adds this feeling, if nothing else, it adds a feeling of structural integrity to them that is otherwise absent when you have FRN. So here we go. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to flex this until it breaks so you guys can see. Just so you know, again, this is no definitive strength test. It's really a bad example for durability because the scale's not attached to the knife. If the scale were attached to the knife, the only thing that's going to happen to the scale is you drop it and it's going to ding up. And, you know, a lot of you guys watching this video have G10 knives and FRN knives that have probably dropped on concrete, and all you get is a few blemishes. This is in no way, shape, or form a realistic demonstration of strength. I just want to show you guys what happens and how much force it takes to break something like this. So here we go. I probably should be wearing gloves. It's really hard to break. Okay, you guys are like, wow. Okay, here's what's happening right now. You guys are either like, wow, Metal Complex, you're super weak, or wow, G10's really strong. So let's keep trying here. There we go. So that's what happened. Did I stick myself? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Here's what happens. It will break. It just takes an enormous... I mean, that took a lot of force to break that. So G10 is plenty strong. And see, look where it broke. Both times. It broke at its weakest point for the flex, which is right on the screw hole. So, I mean, that's what happens. Same thing with the FRN. Broke right on the screw hole. So, yeah, these will break. I was wrong about saying I just didn't apply enough force to it the first time I did it. But I don't know. I thought you guys might find that interesting. You guys probably were like, what a waste of, 10 minutes or however long this video is going to end up being. But I couldn't remember ever seeing a demonstration of G10 like that on YouTube. So, again, this is kind of a stupid test, but this was more about like correcting my original words and making sure that I was, remaining honest with you guys and letting you know where my opinions were coming from. With enough force, both will break. I still don't like how cheap FRN feels, but I gotta give it to the FRN scales. These two, by the way, I'm sure you guys are wondering, why don't you just try to break this one? At this point, both of these butt ends of the scale, they're too short for me to... You saw how much force it took where I had more leverage because the scale was longer. I tried off camera. I can't break this. So FRN in this size and this thickness is strong enough to where I can't break it with my hands. It's got to be a little bit longer, like it was originally for me to be able to break it. But plenty strong, benefits in lightweight, and if it makes the knife cheaper and you guys are happy with FRN, then you're fully justified in purchasing knives that are made with FRN handles. G10, same thing. It adds a feeling of solidity. I believe that it is a little bit stronger. It's not hollow, it's solid for the most part, unless you have like countersunk liners. But in the case of these G10 scales, they're solid. So it's not like they're, any moisture is going to get trapped inside of scales like that in any case. But so G10 will break. So anyways, that's pretty much it for today's bizarre video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you at least found it entertaining. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you would like to check out my other content, my channel really has nothing to do with destruction tests or anything like this. My channel is 99% knife overviews, knife reviews. I like cheap knives. I like expensive knives. So if that sounds good to you, go check that stuff out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.